Welcome to Vision in Mission, your ultimate source of knowledge, wisdom, and clarity. You've arrived here because you're determined to solve up to 99% of your challenges. At Vision in Mission, we believe that with the right guidance, you can break through any obstacle that stands in your way. That's why we present to you the definitive guidebook, How to Solve 99% of Your Problems. This is more than a book, this is a guide. A guide that will help you take control of your life and unlock the power within you to solve the vast majority of your problems. You may have encountered obstacles before, ones that seemed insurmountable, problems that loomed so large they clouded your every thought. I want you to understand something very important. Most of those problems are nothing but illusions. Once you learn to see them for what they truly are, you'll find that you have the power to resolve nearly every challenge in your life. This is your chance to change the way you approach life. This is your opportunity to shift your perception of problems and, in turn, change your actions. As you read through this book, I want you to imagine your life not burdened by problems but empowered by solutions. This journey will help you solve 99% of the challenges you face, not through sheer willpower, but through mastery of perception, deliberate action, and emotional control. Life doesn't have to be a series of crises. You don't have to feel overwhelmed, trapped, or powerless. The tools and techniques in this book are designed to free you from the struggle. We'll explore time-tested methods drawn from Stoicism, wisdom that has withstood the tests of time. You'll discover modern principles of problem-solving that will help you find clarity, peace, and a renewed sense of purpose. With each chapter, you'll peel back the layers that make problems seem larger than they are and see life through a lens of control and empowerment. This book is divided into 10 chapters, each one carefully crafted to help you understand, approach, and solve problems more effectively. Throughout this journey, you will learn how to understand the true nature of problems, and how most of them are not as real as they seem. Take action with more meaning and less effort, so that you don't burn yourself out. Master emotional control, so that no challenge can rattle your sense of peace. And most importantly, cultivate a mindset that allows problems themselves to fade into the background. But before we dive into the strategies and insights that will change your life, I want to challenge you. Are you ready to stop reacting to life's problems and start taking control? If you are, then join me on this journey. If you're ready to embrace a new perspective, if you're ready to take action and begin solving your problems today, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end. Together, we'll not only solve your problems, we'll eliminate them and create the life you've always dreamed of. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Problems. Many people live their lives constantly battling problems. Every day, it seems as though a new challenge arises, demanding immediate attention, action, and emotional energy. But what if I told you that most of these problems are nothing more than illusions? That the vast majority of what we face in life are merely perceived obstacles, blown out of proportion by our minds? This is the first, and perhaps the most crucial insight on your journey towards solving 99% of your problems. Most of what we call problems are not problems at all. They are simply situations, events or circumstances that, when looked at through the right lens, carry no more weight than we give them. Take a moment to think about it. How many times in your life have you been caught in a storm of worry, stress, or frustration, only to realize later that the situation wasn't as dire as you originally believed? That the challenge was manageable, or even non-existent, once you distanced yourself from it? The first step in mastering problem-solving is recognizing this fundamental truth: problems only exist because we perceive them to. This isn't to say that difficulties don't arise. Life presents us with challenges, and some are undoubtedly serious. But the key to handling them lies in how we choose to see them. Let me share a story to illustrate this. Imagine a young man, Mark, who wakes up to a flat tire on his car. He immediately becomes frustrated. This is a disaster, he thinks. I'm already late for work, and now I'm going to miss an important meeting. His mind spirals, and what was once a simple fixable problem, the flat tire, becomes a mountain of stress, anxiety, and panic. But here's the truth: Mark's flat tire is not the problem. The problem lies in his reaction to it. The flat tire itself is just a situation, a fact of life, a challenge that many people face every day. What truly causes him stress is his perception that it is an insurmountable problem, one that will cause him to fail or fall behind. His thinking, his belief that the tire is a disaster, turns it into something much larger than it really is. Now, consider this alternative. What if Mark had approached the situation differently? What if, instead of seeing the flat tire as a catastrophe, he had accepted it as just another obstacle to navigate, something that could be resolved with a few simple steps? Rather than letting the situation overwhelm him, he could have fixed the tire calmly, gotten back on the road, and continued with his day. The difference between these two scenarios is not the tire itself. It's Mark's mindset. This is the illusion of problems. We often confuse situations, things that are simply part of life, with problems. And when we do this, we allow ourselves to become consumed by anxiety, frustration, and worry. But when we see things for what they truly are, we can separate the real challenges from the illusions we create in our minds. I want you to think about your own life. What problems have you been carrying with you? What difficulties, challenges, or obstacles have you been treating as insurmountable? Could it be that these problems aren't as real as you believe them to be? In the next chapter, we'll explore a powerful tool to help you identify the true nature of your problems, and how you can start to solve them by focusing only on what truly matters. But for now, I encourage you to pause and reflect. The next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, is this truly a problem? Or is it simply an illusion, something that exists only in my perception? By shifting how you see problems, you will begin to unlock the power to solve them more effectively. The key is not in changing the world around you, but in changing how you respond to it. Chapter 2: The 80-20 Rule of Problem Solving. There is an ancient truth, rooted in both mathematics and human experience, that can radically change the way you approach life's challenges. It's called the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, and it suggests that 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts. While this rule was first observed in economics, its application stretches far beyond that, particularly when it comes to solving problems. Think about the last time you faced a complex challenge. Maybe it was in your work, a relationship, or even a health issue. Chances are, much of your time, effort, and frustration was spent on relatively trivial aspects of the problem, rather than addressing the root causes. This is where the 80-20 rule comes in. It teaches us that most of the problems we face in life stem from a small, concentrated set of causes. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're struggling to increase productivity at work. You may spend hours organizing your desk, setting up detailed schedules, or reading productivity hacks from the latest self-help book. But what if, instead of focusing on these smaller, less impactful tasks, you shifted your attention to the one or two key habits or systems that would make the biggest difference in your productivity? What if you focused on solving the 20% of the problem that would yield 80% of the results? This shift in focus is the essence of the 80-20 rule. In the context of problem solving, the 80-20 rule teaches us that not all problems are created equal. Most of the time, 20% of our actions or decisions are responsible for 80% of the impact. To solve problems more effectively, we must learn how to identify and address this vital 20%. Let's take a look at a few real-world examples. In finance, you may think that balancing your budget, tracking every small expense, and cutting out every non-essential item will lead to financial freedom. But in reality, focusing on just a few key areas, such as eliminating major debts or investing in assets that produce passive income, will make the most significant impact on your financial well-being. The smaller, more trivial expenses often don't move the needle as much. In health, when it comes to fitness, you might spend hours at the gym doing exercises that don't truly align with your goals. But what if you focused on a few key habits, eating more whole foods, prioritizing sleep, or committing to regular cardiovascular exercise? By focusing on these high-impact areas, you would likely see greater results with less effort. In relationships, we often get bogged down in trying to fix every tiny issue in our relationships. But what if you focused on improving just one or two critical elements, such as active listening or empathy? This focused effort would have a profound effect on the relationship, much more than obsessing over every small disagreement. The point is clear: to solve the vast majority of your problems, you don't need to focus on everything. Instead, focus on the few key actions that will have the biggest impact. By applying the 80-20 rule to your life, you can make real progress in less time and with less effort. Now, you might be wondering how to identify the 20% that will yield the greatest results. It starts with careful observation and introspection. Here's how you can apply the 80-20 rule in your life. Evaluate the problem. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what part of this problem is the most important? Look for the few factors that are driving the majority of the issue. Focus your energy on them. Look for patterns. Often, The problems we face are recurring in nature. If you're constantly battling with the same challenges, try to identify any common factors. By solving these root causes, you'll likely resolve multiple issues at once. Take action on the key areas. Once you've identified the 20% that will make the most difference, focus your efforts there. Eliminate distractions and devote your attention to the high-impact actions. Take, for instance, the story of a woman named Laura. She worked long hours in a stressful job and felt like she was always struggling to balance work and her personal life. At first, she thought she needed to work harder and be more disciplined, but after applying the 80-20 rule, she realized that she was wasting much of her time on tasks that didn't truly matter. For example, she spent hours answering low-priority emails and attending meetings that didn't align with her goals. When Laura identified the key 20% of activities that were contributing the most value to her career and personal life, she focused all her energy there. She started delegating or eliminating unnecessary tasks, and as a result, she experienced a profound shift in both her productivity and peace of mind. By concentrating her efforts on what truly mattered, Laura was able to achieve more in less time, and most importantly, she felt in control. In the same way, you too can leverage the 80-20 rule to solve your problems more effectively. It is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters. But there is one crucial point to remember. The 80-20 rule isn't just about finding the right areas to focus on. It's also about eliminating the distractions that are preventing you from achieving your goals. Just as important as identifying the key 20% is learning to say no to the 80% that doesn't move the needle. The art of problem solving is rooted in focusing on what truly matters, and the 80-20 rule gives you the clarity and discipline to make that distinction. As you continue this journey, remember that the key to solving most of your problems lies in identifying and focusing on the few things that will make the greatest impact. By applying the 80-20 rule, you will not only solve problems more effectively, but also free up your energy to tackle what matters most in your life. Chapter 3: The Control What You Can, Ignore the Rest Rule. There is an undeniable truth within the framework of Stoic philosophy that says, some things are up to us, and some things are not. It is a simple yet profound distinction, one that holds immeasurable power in transforming how we respond to life's challenges. The control what you can, ignore the rest rule is more than a mere idea. It is a transformative way of approaching the very structure of your existence. This rule teaches that stress, anxiety, and frustration arise not from the obstacles in our path, but from the way we respond to things outside of our control. You see, many people spend an overwhelming amount of their energy trying to influence the outcome of things they simply cannot change. This includes other people's actions, the weather, the past, and the uncertainty of the future. We constantly struggle against these elements, as if fighting them would give us the peace we seek. But in reality, it is this very struggle that keeps us stuck in a cycle of distress. Imagine the burden of spending every moment of your day worrying about things beyond your influence. It is exhausting, and it clouds your judgment, making it harder to find the clarity necessary to solve the problems you can control. But by shifting your focus to what is within your power, you free yourself from the constant mental chatter and unnecessary stress. The control what you can, ignore the rest rule is the key to doing just that. When you apply this rule, you begin to simplify your life. It's not about denying the challenges that arise, but rather learning where to direct your attention and energy. You must discern between what can be changed and what cannot, then take focused action on the former, while peacefully releasing the latter. The moment you understand this principle, you reclaim your peace. Let us examine this concept more closely by breaking it down into two parts. What you can control. Your mindset. The thoughts that dominate your mind are within your power. You decide how to perceive the world, the situations you encounter, and the people you meet. You determine whether you respond with fear or with confidence, with frustration or with calm. Your mindset is the starting point for all actions that follow. Your actions, every choice you make, from how you spend your time to the decisions you take in moments of adversity, is within your control. You have the authority to act in ways that align with your values, that serve your long-term goals, and that contribute to your well-being. Your reactions to others. While you cannot control the behavior of other people, you can certainly control how you respond to them. Will you let someone's negativity upset you, or will you maintain composure and stay true to your sense of peace? Your habits, your daily rituals, your routines, the way you take care of your body and mind, they are all in your hands. Every healthy habit you cultivate strengthens your foundation and prepares you to face whatever challenges come your way. What you cannot control. The opinions of others. No matter how much you try, you cannot dictate how others think of you, whether they like you, or whether they approve of your choices. Everyone has their own perception of the world, and it's impossible to align yourself with each of those views. External circumstances, global events, the weather, the economy, these are all things that lie beyond your control. To exert energy trying to change them is an exercise in futility. Instead, focus on how you can adapt to them. The past, the mistakes, regrets, and choices of yesterday are immutable. No matter how much you wish you could go back, the past cannot be rewritten. Acceptance of this truth is key to liberating yourself from the chains of regret. The future, the unknowns of tomorrow are not in your hands. You cannot predict what will happen, nor can you guarantee that things will go as planned. The future is uncertain, and dwelling on it only steals your energy from the present moment. Now, let's explore how this principle works in practice through a story. David was a man who, despite achieving financial success, found himself consistently anxious and overwhelmed. He worried about the state of his business, the opinions of his colleagues, and the unpredictability of the market. The constant worrying consumed his energy, leaving him drained and disheartened. He could not control the direction of his competitors, the decisions of his partners, or the ever-changing landscape of the economy. Yet, he spent countless hours trying to predict and control these things. One day, while walking through the market, David encountered an elderly sage. A conversation quickly ensued, and David, in frustration, shared the weight of his worries. "I'm overwhelmed," he confessed. "I don't know what the future holds, and I can't control the external forces that affect my business." The sage, calm and composed, responded, "David, what you fear is the uncertainty of life. But let me ask you, are you truly in control of the weather, the economy, or the actions of others? No. What you can control is how you respond to these forces. Focus on what is within your grasp, your decisions, your leadership, your integrity. Release the rest." David, intrigued by the sage's words, took them to heart. He began shifting his focus. Rather than worrying about things outside his control, he began devoting his energy to improving his business model, strengthening his relationships with his team, and offering superior customer service. Slowly, the weight of worry began to lift from his shoulders. He realized that by accepting the things he could not change and focusing on the things he could, he had gained a newfound clarity. The uncertainty of life no longer dictated his mental state. David's experience reflects the transformation that comes when you embrace the control what you can, ignore the rest rule. By making this mental shift, you begin to see that many of the things that cause you distress are not the true problems. They are distractions that arise from your attempts to control the uncontrollable. When you let go of these distractions and focus on what you can change, you clear the path for meaningful action. You no longer waste energy on the futile, and instead, channel your efforts into areas where they will truly make a difference. Let this principle guide you, as it did David. In your daily life, ask yourself, am I wasting energy on something I cannot control? Am I letting external circumstances determine my peace? By learning to focus on what you can control and accepting what you cannot, you will find a greater sense of peace, direction, and fulfillment. The control what you can, ignore the rest rule is not just a way of thinking, it is a powerful method of living. In a world filled with uncertainty, it is one of the few things you can always rely on to create the mental space for growth, success, and inner calm. Chapter 4: The 5 Whys Technique, Finding the Root Cause. Every problem, no matter how complex it seems, always has a cause. But too often, people settle for treating the symptoms of a problem without understanding its root cause. This is a common mistake in problem solving, trying to address what is visible on the surface without digging deeper to understand the true source of the issue. In order to truly solve a problem, you must look beyond the immediate effects and identify the root cause. One of the most effective tools for this is the 5 Whys technique. The 5 Whys is a simple yet incredibly powerful method for uncovering the underlying cause of a problem. By repeatedly asking why until you reach the core issue, you gain a deeper understanding of what needs to be addressed. This technique is based on the idea that most problems can be traced back to a fundamental cause, and it is only by identifying this cause that you can eliminate the problem once and for all. At first glance, it may seem too simple to be effective. But think about it, how often do you find yourself solving one issue, only for the same problem to resurface later? The reason this happens is that the real cause was never fully understood or addressed. Instead, you may have simply dealt with the consequences, leaving the root cause intact. By applying the 5 whys technique, you shift your focus from the surface-level symptoms to the deeper, more impactful issues that are truly at the heart of the matter. Let's walk through an example to see how this technique works in practice. A manager in a company noticed that a particular team was consistently missing deadlines. This was creating stress among employees and affecting overall productivity. At first, the manager addressed the situation by giving the team more time to complete their tasks. But after a few weeks, the same problem arose again. The deadlines were still being missed. Now, let's apply the 5 whys method to this problem. 1. Why are the team members missing deadlines? Because they're not completing their tasks on time. 2. Why are they not completing their tasks on time? Because they are struggling to manage their workload. 3. Why are they struggling to manage their workload? Because they have too many tasks assigned to them at once. 4. Why do they have too many tasks assigned to them? Because the team is understaffed and there isn't enough support. 5. Why is the team understaffed? Because the company has not hired additional staff, despite growing demands. Through this process, the manager discovers that the real issue isn't just the team's inability to meet deadlines. The root cause is a staffing shortage that needs to be addressed. Had the manager only treated the symptom, the missed deadlines, without asking the right questions, the problem would have continued to resurface. But by digging deeper into the issue, the manager was able to identify the true cause and take corrective action. The beauty of the 5 whys technique lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require complex tools or strategies, just a willingness to keep asking why until the cause is uncovered. This method can be applied to any situation, whether you're facing a personal challenge, a work-related issue, or a relational problem. Here's another example, this time in a more personal context. Maria had been feeling unmotivated for several months. She couldn't pinpoint exactly why she felt this way, but her lack of enthusiasm was affecting her productivity and her mood. Rather than accepting her feelings as an inevitable part of life, Maria decided to use the 5 whys technique to understand what was going on. 1. Why do I feel unmotivated? Because I have no energy to work on my projects. 2. Why do I have no energy? Because I'm not getting enough sleep. 3. Why am I not getting enough sleep? Because I stay up late watching television. 4. Why do I stay up late watching television? Because I use it to unwind after a long day. 5. Why do I need to unwind with television? Because I'm stressed and overwhelmed by my daily responsibilities. Maria now understands that the root cause of her lack of motivation isn't a personal flaw or laziness, but rather stress and poor sleep habits. By addressing the real issue, her stress levels and bedtime routine, she can take meaningful steps to improve her energy and motivation. This is the power of the 5 whys technique. It gives you a clear path to understanding the true nature of your problems and empowers you to tackle them with precision. Too often, we focus on short-term solutions without addressing the fundamental causes. But when we take the time to dig deeper, we create lasting change that solves problems at their core. The next time you face a problem, whether at work, in relationships, or within yourself, try using the 5 whys method. Ask yourself why things are happening the way they are and continue asking until you uncover the root cause. By doing so, you will stop treating symptoms and start solving problems effectively. In conclusion, the 5 whys technique is an essential tool for anyone looking to become a more effective problem solver. It allows you to uncover hidden causes, simplify complex issues, and take targeted action to create real solutions. Whether you're facing challenges at work, in your personal life, or in your emotional health, the 5 whys technique provides a systematic approach to understanding and resolving your problems at their root. By mastering this technique, you'll be able to address problems with clarity, confidence, and a deep understanding of the forces that shape your life. The next time you encounter a challenge, don't just look at the surface, dig deeper and ask why. Chapter 5: Reframing, Changing How You See Problems. Every problem we encounter in life is an opportunity in disguise. However, this truth is often obscured by the way we choose to perceive our challenges. The difference between a problem that holds us back and a problem that propels us forward lies in how we frame it in our minds. Reframing, the art of changing how we see our circumstances, has the power to transform obstacles into stepping stones. When you reframe a problem, you change your mindset. What was once a source of stress and frustration can become a source of strength, growth, and even gratitude. In essence, Reframing allows you to take control of your perception, and with it, your emotional response and actions. This is why reframing is such a powerful tool in problem solving, because it puts the power of choice back into your hands. To better understand the power of reframing, let's begin by examining a common example. Imagine you are at work, facing a tight deadline for an important project. The pressure is mounting, and you feel overwhelmed. At this moment, the situation seems impossible, and your mind is clouded by stress. But what if you could reframe this scenario? Instead of seeing it as a burden, you could choose to view it as an opportunity to prove your skills, grow your capacity for handling pressure, and learn how to better manage your time. By shifting your perspective, the same situation transforms from a source of anxiety into a catalyst for growth. Consider the story of Emma, a woman in her late 30s who had spent most of her life trying to avoid conflict. She always tried to please everyone around her, afraid that confrontation would lead to rejection. Emma worked in a high-pressure environment where conflict was inevitable, and her avoidance of confrontation often made things worse. She would procrastinate, avoid difficult conversations, and let problems fester. One day, Emma faced a situation that would change her life forever. She was given a project with a tight deadline, and her team was struggling to meet the goals. Tensions were high, and emotions ran deep. The pressure was palpable, and Emma, as the leader of the project, had to make a decision. She could either confront the issue head-on or continue avoiding it. For the first time in her career, Emma decided to reframe the situation. Instead of seeing it as a source of stress and discomfort, she viewed it as an opportunity to improve her leadership skills, to face her fears, and to learn how to manage conflict in a healthy way. Emma took charge of the project, organized a meeting, and addressed the issues openly. She was honest, assertive, and focused on finding solutions rather than avoiding discomfort. In doing so, she reframed the entire situation. The results were remarkable. The project was completed successfully, and Emma's team appreciated her leadership. But the greatest change was within Emma herself. She no longer feared conflict. Instead, she saw it as an opportunity to grow, to engage in meaningful conversations, and to develop a stronger sense of self-confidence. This story illustrates the profound impact that reframing can have on your life. When you look at challenges from a new perspective, you can extract valuable lessons, find hidden opportunities, and navigate even the most difficult situations with clarity and composure. Reframing doesn't change the circumstances, but it changes how you experience them, and in doing so, it transforms your ability to solve problems. One of the key components of reframing is recognizing that most problems are not as permanent or as insurmountable as they initially seem. In fact, many of the obstacles that appear in your life are temporary, and they are often far smaller than they appear when you take a step back. By re-evaluating your situation and looking at it from a different angle, you can create new possibilities and solutions. For instance, think about how successful people view failure. Whereas many people see failure as a permanent setback, successful individuals tend to view it as a temporary hurdle, a necessary part of the process of growth. They understand that failure is not the end, but simply a lesson learned on the way to success. By reframing failure as a stepping stone, they can move past it with ease and continue on their path. This mindset shift is crucial when it comes to solving problems. If you approach every challenge with a sense of inevitability and defeat, you will find it much harder to overcome. But if you choose to reframe each obstacle as an opportunity for growth, innovation, or change, you unlock the door to a world of new possibilities. Here's another practical example. Imagine that you've just received negative feedback at work. Most people would feel defeated, discouraged, or even angry. But instead of allowing this feedback to drain your energy, try reframing it. Rather than focusing on the sting of criticism, view it as a valuable opportunity to learn. This feedback is a roadmap to improvement, a sign that you have the potential to grow and refine your skills. When you start to view feedback, challenges, and setbacks as growth opportunities rather than personal failures, you shift your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. In doing so, you become more resilient, adaptable, and capable of handling whatever life throws your way. Reframing is not just about how you think, it's also about how you respond. When you reframe a situation, you're choosing to take action, to approach the challenge with a sense of agency and control. This proactive mindset is what sets successful problem solvers apart from those who feel helpless in the face of adversity. So, how can you begin to apply reframing in your own life? Start by observing your reactions to problems. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? Shift your focus from what is wrong to what can be done. Take note of the new perspectives that emerge, and use them to guide your actions. Reframing is a habit, and like any habit, it takes practice. But with time, it becomes second nature. In conclusion, reframing is one of the most powerful tools in your problem-solving toolbox. It allows you to shift your perspective, find meaning in adversity, and transform challenges into opportunities. By practicing reframing, you can change the way you approach life's difficulties, gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and your circumstances. Remember, the way you see problems determines how you experience them. Reframe your challenges, and you'll find that the obstacles in your path are not as daunting as they first appeared. Embrace the power of reframing, and you'll not only solve problems more effectively, you'll become more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of navigating life's unpredictable journey. Chapter 6: Taking Action, the Imperfect Execution Strategy. One of the most common roadblocks to problem solving is the illusion that we need to have everything figured out before taking action. We convince ourselves that in order to solve a problem, we need the perfect plan, the perfect circumstances, or the perfect mindset. But this belief is what often keeps us stuck, paralyzed by fear and indecision. The truth is, waiting for perfection is the fastest way to ensure that nothing ever gets done. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of imperfect execution, the idea that taking action, even imperfect action, is often far better than waiting for things to be flawless. It's not about making mistakes or being careless. It's about understanding that progress is built on trial and error, learning, and adapting. The key is to move forward, even if it's just a small step, and to adjust your course as you go. At the heart of this philosophy is the understanding that perfection is an illusion. There is no perfect time, perfect plan, or perfect solution. There is only action, and the willingness to learn from it. When you act imperfectly, you are actually giving yourself the opportunity to improve, refine your approach, and learn from real-world feedback. In fact, sometimes it's the mistakes you make along the way that lead to the most valuable insights. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors in history. He is famously known for inventing the light bulb after thousands of attempts. Imagine if Edison had waited for the perfect moment, or for a flawless solution. The world might still be without electric light. Instead, Edison embraced imperfect execution. Every failure, every setback, was a step closer to his goal. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset of taking action, no matter how imperfect, is what ultimately led to his success. Another example can be found in the world of business. Many entrepreneurs dream of building a perfect product or launching a flawless company. They spend months or even years planning, refining, and trying to anticipate every obstacle. But often, by the time they launch, the market has already shifted, and they are playing catch-up. On the other hand, successful entrepreneurs often take the opposite approach. They launch with a basic version of their product, gather feedback from real customers, and refine their offerings as they go. Take the case of Airbnb. The founders initially struggled to get the company off the ground. They didn't have a polished website, perfect customer service, or even a well-established brand. What they had was a basic concept and the willingness to take action. They experimented, learned from their mistakes, and adapted. Now, Airbnb is one of the most successful companies in the world, valued at billions of dollars. What these stories show is that imperfect action can often lead to better results than perfection. In fact, the pursuit of perfection is often a form of procrastination. We spend so much time trying to get things just right that we never actually move forward. The key is to let go of the need for perfection and embrace progress, even if it's not always pretty. Let's take a closer look at how this mindset applies to problem solving. Imagine you are faced with a significant challenge. Perhaps it's a financial issue, a health concern, or a relationship problem. You may feel overwhelmed, unsure of where to start, and anxious about making the wrong move. The temptation is to wait until you have the perfect solution, the ideal strategy, or the perfect time to act. But this approach will only keep you stuck. Instead, ask yourself, what's the smallest action I can take right now to make progress? It could be something as simple as writing down your thoughts, making a phone call, or researching potential solutions. The key is to start. Once you take that first step, momentum builds, and you begin to see new possibilities. Even if that first step isn't perfect, it's better than standing still. This concept ties into what's known as the 1% rule. The idea is that if you improve by just 1% every day, over time, those small improvements add up to significant progress. In the same way, taking imperfect action every day, whether it's in your personal life, your career, or your health, creates compounding results that eventually lead to profound transformation. Let's say you want to get in better shape. Instead of waiting for the perfect workout plan, the perfect gym, or the ideal diet, start by doing something small. Take a walk, do a few push-ups, or eat a healthier meal. Each small action compounds, and over time, you build the habits that lead to lasting change. The key is to act, no matter how imperfect the first step may seem. One of the biggest hurdles to taking imperfect action is the fear of failure. We are often afraid that if we don't do something perfectly, we will make a mistake, look foolish, or miss out on opportunities. This fear keeps us stuck in a cycle of overthinking, waiting for the perfect moment, and ultimately avoiding action. But the reality is that failure is an essential part of growth. It's not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. When you take imperfect action, you open yourself up to the possibility of failure, but you also open yourself up to the possibility of success. As you learn from your mistakes, you refine your approach and move closer to your goal. To implement this strategy in your own life, start by identifying one area where you've been procrastinating due to the fear of making mistakes. Maybe it's starting a new project, having a difficult conversation, or tackling a personal goal. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions or a flawless plan, take one small step. Don't worry about perfection, just focus on progress. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect, it's to be persistent. Progress is built on consistency, not perfection. So take action, even if it's messy. Keep moving forward, and let the lessons you learn along the way guide you to the solution. In conclusion, the imperfect execution strategy is about letting go of the need for perfection and focusing on progress. It's about taking action, even when the path isn't clear, and learning from every step you take. By embracing this mindset, you break free from the paralysis of overthinking and begin to make meaningful strides toward solving your problems. When you take imperfect action, you not only solve problems faster, you build the resilience and confidence needed to tackle any challenge life throws your way. Chapter 7: The Power of Emotional Control. Emotions are a powerful force. They shape our thoughts, our decisions, and ultimately, our actions. In moments of stress, fear, or frustration, emotions can make problems seem larger than they truly are. They cloud our judgment, trigger impulsive responses, and cause us to react in ways that may not serve our best interests. When you are overwhelmed by emotion, you lose clarity. Your ability to see the problem for what it really is diminishes, and instead, you see a distorted version of reality. This is where many people falter in their efforts to solve problems. They allow emotions to drive them, leading to decisions based on feelings rather than logic, and actions driven by stress rather than reason. The ability to control your emotions, particularly in the face of adversity, is one of the most critical skills you can develop. By mastering emotional control, you don't eliminate emotions. Rather, you learn to manage them in a way that empowers you to solve problems with calm, clarity, and focus. It's about not allowing emotions to dictate your actions, but using them as tools to fuel positive outcomes. Consider the example of a firefighter facing a blazing inferno. In such a situation, fear and stress are natural, yet a firefighter's training and emotional control allow them to think clearly, act decisively, and focus on the task at hand. If they let panic take over, the results could be disastrous. But by mastering their emotions, they are able to save lives and prevent further destruction. The same principle applies to everyday challenges. Whether you're dealing with a difficult relationship, a professional setback, or a personal health issue, emotional control is the key to maintaining the focus and clarity needed to solve the problem effectively. One of the most effective methods for mastering emotional control is known as the pause and reflect technique. This simple yet powerful strategy involves taking a moment to step back before reacting to a situation. It may seem counterintuitive in moments of stress, where every instinct tells you to act immediately, but this pause gives you the space to breathe, reflect, and assess the situation objectively. When you're faced with a problem, instead of reacting impulsively, take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes if needed. In this brief pause, reflect on the situation, your emotions, and your desired outcome. Ask yourself, what is the most productive way to respond right now? This moment of reflection allows you to access a level of clarity that helps you avoid impulsive decisions, make better choices, and solve the problem more effectively. Emotional control also involves understanding your triggers. Each of us has certain things that set us off, whether it's a specific person, a type of situation, or a particular event. Identifying your emotional triggers is crucial to gaining control over your reactions. For example, if you know that being interrupted during a conversation triggers frustration, you can prepare yourself mentally in advance, or even excuse yourself from the situation if you feel yourself losing control. The more self-aware you become, the more control you have over your emotional responses. This awareness allows you to stay calm and composed even in the most challenging situations. By learning to manage your emotions, you gain the ability to approach problems with a clear mind and a steady hand. But why is emotional control so important when it comes to problem solving? The answer lies in the fact that problems are rarely as insurmountable as we make them out to be. When you are emotionally overwhelmed, you tend to view challenges as larger than they really are. The fear of failure, the anxiety of the unknown, or the frustration of repeated setbacks can cloud your perception. However, when you maintain emotional control, you can step back and view the problem objectively. You are no longer reacting out of fear or frustration. Instead, you can assess the situation with a sense of calm and perspective, making it easier to identify practical solutions. Take, for instance, a business owner facing a financial crisis. Without emotional control, they might panic, make hasty decisions, or lash out at their team. But by mastering emotional control, they can take a step back, assess the situation, and approach the issue strategically. They might cut unnecessary costs, focus on finding new revenue streams, or reach out for expert advice. The ability to think clearly and act decisively in such a moment can mean the difference between failure and success. Similarly, in a personal relationship, emotional control allows you to respond to conflict with patience and understanding rather than anger or resentment. It allows you to listen, empathize, and find solutions together rather than escalating the issue further. Emotional control can transform the way you interact with others, creating healthier, more productive relationships. There is also a scientific component to emotional control. Research in neuroscience has shown that our brains are wired to react emotionally before we consciously process a situation. This is known as the fight or flight response. It's a survival mechanism that helps us react quickly to immediate threats. However, in the modern world, most of our problems aren't life-threatening. They are challenges that require thoughtful reflection and deliberate action. The key is to engage the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, in order to override the automatic emotional response. This is where emotional control comes in. By practicing techniques like the pause and reflect method, you can engage your rational mind before reacting emotionally. Here's an exercise you can try to improve your emotional control. When faced with a problem, take 3 deep breaths. As you breathe, focus on releasing any tension in your body. Visualize the problem as an obstacle in front of you, something that can be overcome with clarity and focus. With each breath, you are calming your mind and creating space for thoughtful reflection. Now, ask yourself, what's the best possible outcome? What can I control, and what can I let go of? This exercise will help you approach the situation with a clear mind, and over time, you'll notice your ability to stay calm under pressure improving. In conclusion, emotional control is an indispensable tool for effective problem solving. By mastering your emotions, you gain the ability to see problems objectively, think clearly, and make decisions based on logic rather than impulse. Emotional control allows you to respond to challenges with strength, resilience, and wisdom. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but about understanding them, managing them, and using them to fuel positive action. Chapter 7: The Power of Emotional Control. Emotions are a powerful force. They shape our thoughts, our decisions, and ultimately, our actions. In moments of stress, fear, or frustration, emotions can make problems seem larger than they truly are. They cloud our judgment, trigger impulsive responses, and cause us to react in ways that may not serve our best interests. When you are overwhelmed by emotion, you lose clarity. Your ability to see the problem for what it really is diminishes, and instead, you see a distorted version of reality. This is where many people falter in their efforts to solve problems. They allow emotions to drive them, leading to decisions based on feelings rather than logic, and actions driven by stress rather than reason. The ability to control your emotions, particularly in the face of adversity, is one of the most critical skills you can develop. By mastering emotional control, you don't eliminate emotions. Rather, you learn to manage them in a way that empowers you to solve problems with calm, clarity, and focus. It's about not allowing emotions to dictate your actions, but using them as tools to fuel positive outcomes. Consider the example of a firefighter facing a blazing inferno. In such a situation, fear and stress are natural, yet a firefighter's training and emotional control allow them to think clearly, act decisively, and focus on the task at hand. If they let panic take over, the results could be disastrous. But by mastering their emotions, they are able to save lives and prevent further destruction. The same principle applies to everyday challenges. Whether you're dealing with a difficult relationship, a professional setback, or a personal health issue, emotional control is the key to maintaining the focus and clarity needed to solve the problem effectively. One of the most effective methods for mastering emotional control is known as the pause and reflect technique. This simple yet powerful strategy involves taking a moment to step back before reacting to a situation. It may seem counterintuitive in moments of stress, where every instinct tells you to act immediately, but this pause gives you the space to breathe, reflect, and assess the situation objectively. When you're faced with a problem, instead of reacting impulsively, take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes if needed. In this brief pause, reflect on the situation, your emotions, and your desired outcome. Ask yourself, what is the most productive way to respond right now? This moment of reflection allows you to access a level of clarity that helps you avoid impulsive decisions, make better choices, and solve the problem more effectively. Emotional control also involves understanding your triggers. Each of us has certain things that set us off, whether it's a specific person, a type of situation, or a particular event. Identifying your emotional triggers is crucial to gaining control over your reactions. For example, if you know that being interrupted during a conversation triggers frustration, you can prepare yourself mentally in advance, or even excuse yourself from the situation if you feel yourself losing control. The more self-aware you become, the more control you have over your emotional responses. This awareness allows you to stay calm and composed even in the most challenging situations. By learning to manage your emotions, you gain the ability to approach problems with a clear mind and a steady hand. But why is emotional control so important when it comes to problem solving? The answer lies in the fact that problems are rarely as insurmountable as we make them out to be. When you are emotionally overwhelmed, you tend to view challenges as larger than they really are. The fear of failure, the anxiety of the unknown, or the frustration of repeated setbacks can cloud your perception. However, when you maintain emotional control, you can step back and view the problem objectively. You are no longer reacting out of fear or frustration. Instead, you can assess the situation with a sense of calm and perspective, making it easier to identify practical solutions. Take, for instance, a business owner facing a financial crisis. Without emotional control, they might panic, make hasty decisions, or lash out at their team. But by mastering emotional control, they can take a step back, assess the situation, and approach the issue strategically. They might cut unnecessary costs, focus on finding new revenue streams, or reach out for expert advice. The ability to think clearly and act decisively in such a moment can mean the difference between failure and success. Similarly, in a personal relationship, emotional control allows you to respond to conflict with patience and understanding rather than anger or resentment. It allows you to listen, empathize, and find solutions together rather than escalating the issue further. Emotional control can transform the way you interact with others, creating healthier, more productive relationships. There is also a scientific component to emotional control. Research in neuroscience has shown that our brains are wired to react emotionally before we consciously process a situation. This is known as the fight or flight response. It's a survival mechanism that helps us react quickly to immediate threats. However, in the modern world, most of our problems aren't life-threatening. They are challenges that require thoughtful reflection and deliberate action. The key is to engage the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, in order to override the automatic emotional response. This is where emotional control comes in. By practicing techniques like the pause and reflect method, you can engage your rational mind before reacting emotionally. Here's an exercise you can try to improve your emotional control. When faced with a problem, take 3 deep breaths. As you breathe, focus on releasing any tension in your body. Visualize the problem as an obstacle in front of you, something that can be overcome with clarity and focus. With each breath, you are calming your mind and creating space for thoughtful reflection. Now, ask yourself, what's the best possible outcome? What can I control, and what can I let go of? This exercise will help you approach the situation with a clear mind, and over time, you'll notice your ability to stay calm under pressure improving. In conclusion, emotional control is an indispensable tool for effective problem solving. By mastering your emotions, you gain the ability to see problems objectively, think clearly, and make decisions based on logic rather than impulse. Emotional control allows you to respond to challenges with strength, resilience, and wisdom. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but about understanding them, managing them, and using them to fuel positive action. What do you think? How have your emotions influenced the way you've tackled problems in the past? Have you ever found that mastering emotional control helped you in a difficult situation? Leave a comment below and share your experience. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this important topic. If you're finding this content valuable, don't forget to subscribe to Vision and Mission, so you can continue learning how to transform your mindset and overcome life's challenges with wisdom and resilience. Chapter 8: Decision-Making, the 3-Step Process. In every problem we face, there lies a moment when a decision must be made. This decision can either propel us forward or leave us stagnating, uncertain, and indecisive. The process of decision-making is often seen as one of the most daunting aspects of problem-solving. Fear of making the wrong choice can paralyze us, creating an illusion of complexity where simplicity should reign. But what if the process of decision-making didn't have to be so overwhelming? What if it could be broken down into a simple, repeatable process that, once mastered, could guide us to the right solutions with clarity and confidence? The decision-making process is not about having perfect answers. It's about making the best choice with the information you have. Most people, when faced with a problem, get stuck in an endless cycle of overthinking. They weigh every option, worry about the consequences of every decision, and become paralyzed by indecision. The result? They fail to make any decision at all. The fear of making a mistake becomes so overwhelming that they would rather avoid the process entirely. Yet, as we know, inaction is a decision in itself, and it's often the worst decision of all. The key to overcoming this fear of making decisions is to simplify the process. It's about breaking it down into manageable steps. Instead of getting lost in endless possibilities, we need to focus on the most critical aspects of the decision at hand. This is where the 3-step decision-making process comes in. The 3 steps are simple, but powerful. Clarify the objective. What is it that you ultimately want to achieve? Consider the options. What are your choices, and what are the potential outcomes of each? Make the decision, trust yourself, and take action. Let's dive into each step a little deeper. Clarifying the objective. Before making any decision, the first step is to understand exactly what you are trying to accomplish. This step is often overlooked, but it is absolutely crucial. If you don't know where you're going, any path will do, and you will quickly find yourself lost. Clarity of objective gives you a target, a clear vision of where you want to be, and it enables you to evaluate your options effectively. For example, imagine you're in the midst of a career decision. Are you looking for more money, more freedom, a more fulfilling role, or something else entirely? The clearer you are about your goal, the easier it becomes to narrow down the possible options that align with that objective. Without this clarity, you may find yourself distracted by options that don't serve your long-term vision, leading to poor decisions or regret. Considering the options. Once you have a clear objective, the next step is to evaluate your available options. This is where many people get bogged down. The sheer number of choices available can be overwhelming, and the fear of making the wrong choice can make the decision-making process feel paralyzing. But remember, not making a decision is still a decision. And often, the act of making a choice, any choice, will teach you more than remaining stagnant ever will. In this step, take a moment to step back and weigh your options. Ask yourself questions like, what is the best-case scenario with each option? What are the risks and rewards associated with each choice? What will this decision bring you in the short term, and how will it affect your long-term goals? It's also important to note that, in many situations, you don't have to get the decision perfect. Perfection doesn't exist in the real world. The best decision is the one you make based on the best available information at the time. Take comfort in knowing that no choice is ever entirely without risk or uncertainty. The key is to make an informed decision, act on it, and learn from the process. Making the decision. This is where the true power of decision-making lies, in the ability to commit. Once you've clarified your objective and evaluated your options, the next step is to simply decide and act. Don't overthink it. Trust in your ability to make the right choice, knowing that any decision is better than no decision at all. Think about a time in your life when you made a difficult decision and, despite initial doubts, it led to positive results. The decision might not have been perfect, but you committed to it, took action, and learned valuable lessons along the way. That is the power of making decisions. A powerful tool you can use to eliminate the fear around decision-making is called the worst-case scenario test. When you feel paralyzed by fear, ask yourself, what is the worst possible outcome of this decision? Can I live with it? More often than not, you'll find that even the worst-case scenario is not as catastrophic as it initially seemed. This gives you the courage to act, knowing that no decision is truly irreversible. The importance of action. In the end, decision-making is about action. The more you practice making decisions, the more confident you become in your ability to handle any situation. This confidence doesn't come from always making the right choice, but from knowing that you can take action and course correct when necessary. Each decision you make brings you closer to your objective. Even if you make mistakes, those mistakes are valuable lessons that help you grow. The key is to keep moving forward, keep making decisions, and keep learning along the way. Decision-making and problem-solving. In the context of solving problems, decision-making is essential. It's impossible to solve a problem if you're not willing to decide on a course of action. Too many people get stuck in the loop of thinking about their problems without ever making a decision. They become consumed by the problem rather than taking action to solve it. This is where the three-step process can be particularly valuable. It forces you to take action, which is the only way to overcome obstacles. In conclusion, decision-making doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. By following the three-step process, clarify your objective, consider your options, and make the decision, you can navigate life's challenges with confidence and clarity. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. The more you practice decision-making, the more adept you will become at solving problems and moving toward your goals. What's the biggest decision you're currently facing? How are you making sure that your emotions and indecision aren't preventing you from taking action? Do you believe these three-step decision-making process could help you in making tough choices? Chapter 9, The Let Go Mindset, Eliminating 99% of Stress. If there's one universal truth about life, it's this: stress is inevitable. We all face it. It creeps into our lives in ways both large and small, from work pressures to personal struggles. But here's the key: stress doesn't have to control us. It doesn't have to dominate our thoughts, our time, or our peace of mind. In fact, there's a mindset that can eliminate 99% of the stress you experience. It's called the let go mindset. The practice of letting go is not just about releasing what you cannot change, it's about recognizing that we cannot control everything, and thus there's no need to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. What does it mean to let go? At its core, letting go is about accepting what is, rather than fighting against it. It means relinquishing control over things that are outside of your power and learning to focus on what you can actually influence. It's about choosing to release unnecessary burdens and acknowledging that some things simply don't deserve your energy. This is not about giving up or resigning yourself to a life of inaction. It's the opposite. It's about taking control of the aspects of life that you do have power over and letting go of the things that drain your energy and rob you of peace. Acceptance, the gateway to peace. There's a powerful truth in the Stoic philosophy that you cannot change what is outside of your control, but you always have the power to control how you respond. By embracing acceptance, you immediately free yourself from the stress of wishing things were different. You stop wasting energy on trying to change the unchangeable, and instead, you turn your focus toward the areas where you can make a real impact. Let's consider an example. Suppose you are stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. The situation is frustrating, and it's easy to feel your stress levels rise. But here's the question: is there anything you can do about the traffic? No, you can't change the situation. But what you can control is how you respond. You can choose to let go of the frustration, take a deep breath, and use the time to listen to a podcast or reflect on something positive. The act of letting go transforms your stress into an opportunity for growth or relaxation. The power of detachment. Another element of the let-go mindset is detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about the right things, in the right way. It's about freeing yourself from emotional attachment to outcomes that are beyond your control. Imagine you've worked hard on a project, and you're waiting for feedback. If you tie your sense of self-worth and success to the outcome of this feedback, you're setting yourself up for unnecessary stress. If the feedback is negative, you may take it personally, questioning your abilities. If it's positive, you may feel a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but the high won't last. By detaching yourself from the outcome, you can approach the situation with equanimity. Whether the feedback is positive or negative, it won't shake your sense of self or your commitment to your goals. The art of letting go. Letting go is a skill that takes practice. It's not something that comes easily to most people. After all, we're conditioned to hold on to our expectations, our desires, and our judgments. But in order to experience true peace, we must practice letting go of things that no longer serve us. Here's a simple exercise to start the process of letting go. Step 1. Identify the source of your stress. What is it that's causing you to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or frustrated? Step 2. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, then recognize that you must let go of it. Remind yourself that it's not worth the energy to hold on to it. Step 3. Shift your focus. Redirect your attention to the things that you can control, your actions, your thoughts, your emotions. Focus on what you can influence and let go of everything else. Letting go of guilt and regret. One of the most powerful forms of letting go is letting go of guilt and regret. These emotions are some of the heaviest burdens we carry, and they often hold us back from moving forward in life. The past is over, and the choices we made were based on the information we had at the time. Holding on to guilt or regret serves no purpose other than to keep us stuck in a loop of self-blame and remorse. By practicing forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, you free yourself from the weight of past mistakes. You learn to see them as lessons rather than failures, and you allow yourself the space to grow. In doing so, you create more mental and emotional energy for the present moment. The key to mastering stress. The key to eliminating stress is not to try to control everything, but to let go of the things that cause unnecessary tension. When you stop fighting against the uncontrollable, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters. You make room for peace, clarity, and joy in your life. Remember, the let-go mindset doesn't mean inaction. It means choosing where to direct your energy. It's about focusing on the areas of your life that bring you fulfillment and peace, while releasing those things that keep you tied down in stress. Chapter 10. Conclusion. The final mindset shift. As we reach the end of this journey together, it's time to reflect on everything we've learned. Over the course of this book, we've discussed how to reframe our perception of problems, how to take strategic action, and how to master emotional control in the face of adversity. We've explored the tools that allow us to solve 99% of our problems and eliminate unnecessary stress from our lives. But there's one final, powerful shift to make. It's the shift from viewing problems as obstacles to seeing them as opportunities. This is where true freedom lies. The real secret to solving any problem. The ultimate secret to solving any problem in life is to change your relationship with problems themselves. When you stop seeing them as insurmountable barriers, you start to see them as stepping stones for growth. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and become better. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This mindset shift is the key to turning any adversity into a catalyst for personal growth. Every problem becomes an opportunity for you to practice patience, perseverance, and wisdom. You no longer waste your energy fighting against problems. Instead, you use that energy to find solutions and build a better future. A call to action, the next step. Now that you have the tools, the strategies, and the mindset to solve your problems, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue reacting to life's challenges, or will you take control and start applying what you've learned? I challenge you to take one step today. Identify a problem you've been struggling with, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal life, and apply one of the techniques we've discussed. Maybe you'll use the 5 whys technique to uncover the root cause, or maybe you'll practice letting go of something you cannot control. Whatever it is, Take action now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. And remember, progress is progress, no matter how small. The key is to keep moving forward. Thank you for joining me on this journey. As we conclude this book, I want to thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself. You've taken the first step toward mastering the art of problem solving and achieving peace and clarity in your life. But this is just the beginning. I encourage you to revisit these principles often. Make them part of your daily life, and watch as your problems become easier to solve, your stress begins to fade, and your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Final words of encouragement. You are not powerless in the face of life's challenges. You have the strength, the tools, and the wisdom to overcome anything that comes your way. The question is not whether you will face problems. They are a natural part of life. The question is, how will you face them? Will you face them with the mindset of someone who is defeated, or will you face them with the mindset of someone who is empowered, who sees every challenge as an opportunity for growth? The choice is yours. Don't forget to subscribe to Vision and Mission for more life-changing content and tools to help you continue on your path to mastery. Together, we will turn challenges into opportunities and create a life of purpose, peace, and progress.